done a little, thank you. Uh, Done an agenda for myself here. The first order of business is to review and approve the minutes from the last meeting. And is somebody, would somebody make a motion to approve them?
I will move to approve them.
Okay,
Second.
Christine moves it, and was there a second?
Yeah, Jordan will second.
Okay, great. Is there any discussion?
They looked good.
Good. All in favor, please say aye or raise your hand or do something.
Aye.
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 So they're approved. All opposed? No. So the minutes are approved. My cat is thundering around in the background, so jumpy, that's why. And the other thing we need to do is to swear in, I guess it's John McCullough who is going to give testimony. So I don't have the oath in front of me. Barbara, do you happen to have it? Would you be able to read it out?
I don't, but if you want to just move ahead with the next item, I'll go ahead and see if I can find one.
Okay, great. And I think that's the only oath that we need to do this morning, this afternoon. We're going to talk about whether we all want to do an oath each time, and that's a different subject, but I don't think we're required to. The application that we're considering is the application of Charlotte and Scott Bassage, and it's parcel ID number 360105. And the request is for penalties and fees dating from 2025 in the amount of $434.34. So the next item on the agenda is to inquire whether anybody on the Board of Tax Abatement has had ex parte communication about this application. And I'm assuming that the listers probably have, because that's sort of in the nature of this particular request. So don't consider that to be anything other than to say it happened. And also to inquire whether anybody has a conflict of interest in the proceeding. So please speak up if you feel you did. Do.
Janet, I have the oath if you would like for me to read it on your behalf.
That'd be great. And John, you're there. I don't see you, but I assume you're there in the room.
John is here.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so the oath is, under the pains and penalties of perjury, do you solemnly swear that the evidence you give in the cause under consideration shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
Didn't feel like the page of perjury today.
you're on my Zoom anyway. You sound very drifty, so I don't know if you do on others. So John, I think you're the one witness that we have on this application, and I assume everybody has the application in front of them, or at least they've had a chance to review it. So, John, if you could give us the background and anything that you feel that we need to know in order to take action.
Okay. In fall of 2024, a property tax transfer report shows a seller and buyer for a piece of property came into the office, and it showed that the transferor was Scott, and the transferee was John Hannah Bassage with a Seattle address. There was no indication that on the top of the PTTR that this was a life estate, but in fact it was. With a life estate, the main owner is still, in this case, the person listed as the seller. So the name should not have been changed, the address should not have been changed, but it was. The tax bill went wrong address and wasn't paid. and then kind of came as a surprise when it was discovered delinquent. And here we are.
Right. And so this is under the provision that allows for an adjustment or an abatement rather, if it's a mistake of the lister. And that's the situation that that we're being asked to do the abatement on at the moment. Are there any questions of John that anyone has? So the normal course is, but it's not required, is that we go into deliberative session to make a decision. We're not required to do it. And it's a little awkward when half of us are not there. The other half are there, but we can do it if you want to. Or we can just entertain a motion if somebody has a motion to make.
I'd like to make a motion that we go into deliberative session. This is Barbara.
Okay. All right. And I assume that you know how to do this because it happens in other occasions. Is that right? I don't know how to do it.
I think we just need a second and then a vote.
Well, but I'm talking about the mechanics of doing it.
We'll just stop recording. I think that's the only difference.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we
That's
stop
fine.
recording, and if
Okay.
anyone tries to come in, we tell them they need to wait a moment.
Okay, that sounds fine. So the motion's been made to go into deliberative session. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 And those
Aye.
opposed? Okay, so whatever if you want to. And so we're now in open session, although it does feel just like the deliberative session, but there you go. So I'd like to see if somebody would make a motion to get us moving in terms of making a decision.
I would like to make a motion to approve the abatement of late fees
And penalty.
and penalty associated with Scott Passage and Charlotte Hannah's request to do so. And the stated reason was that there was an error on the part of the listers, and I think that seems to be represented in this case. That abatement amount is $434.34.
Okay, so that's a motion. Is there a second to that?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the application for abatement of the penalties and interest in the amount of $434.34 for parcel ID 360105. So is there any discussion before we vote? See any discussion? Could I have a show of hands of all? I'm not sure. Do we have to do this with a roll call? We don't, do we? I don't think we do. Okay. Show of hands. Everyone, all in favor, please raise your hand.
Okay.
And those opposed? Okay, so the motion has passed. And I think that's it. We did have a discussion about whether we were going to Tegan, if you think this is a good time to have a discussion about whether we do an oath at each meeting, we can do that now, or we can wait till some non-snowstorm time when we're all together, which might be a better discussion, but it's up to you.
I think it's good to at least start the discussion, and then if there's a lot we want to talk about, maybe we could save it for when we're all in the same room. Janet brought up the idea that perhaps that the oath that we have signed in the past, and I have a bunch of them in here, is not required. And I checked in with the LCT, and while a lot of clerks in towns do have all the board members sign an oath at the beginning of every meeting, not everyone does, and it's not required. I did ask Charlotte if she had any feedback on this point since she's not here tonight. And she said that she thinks of it kind of like there was another kind of meeting she used to attend where they did a prayer in the beginning, and where she's not a big prayer person. It set a tone of solemnity and gravity, I suppose, to the situation and help center people before a meeting. And so she erred on the side of in favor of an oath. Do we want to talk about it today?
This is Barbara. It's not that hard. It doesn't take but just a minute, and I think it sets the tone as well. I would vote in favor of taking an oath each time.
So the concern that I had that I raised with Tegan, I'll share with everyone. We had a big some very sensitive about the idea of oaths. We had a big dust up in the legislature about whether or not we'd done our oaths properly, and it raised not a deliberative body, but it raised all kinds of questions about whether the actions we took were legal and constitutional and so on. So it's a serious thing. And the concern I have is that if we start doing it, and because of a different town clerk or a different, chair or a different whatever, if it's not in our procedures, and we don't do it at a given time, that may raise issues about the validity of what we're doing. So if we require it, my feeling is that we should put it in the rules of procedure so that it will be there for whoever takes over in 10 years from now, when hopefully most of us won't be here. I won't be here for sure. So that's just my thought. It's a serious thing. It's not, I agree that it lends a feeling of gravity, but that's because it actually has gravity to it. So I want to be cautious about it. I want to be sure that if we say we're going to do it, that we actually really do it. So anyway, those are my thoughts about it. Anyone else want to jump in?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Dylan.
I think I've been in this role like I don't know, maybe 12 years or something. And I remember Denise, I thought used to have us actually do the oath like this, but only at the very start of each time that we were elected. I thought that was a nice balance of like not just signing a piece of paper, so like actually taking an oath, but not having to do it every time that we convene. So I honestly don't have strong feelings on this one. I appreciate your point, Janet, about us, what happens if we forget to or don't do it. But that's what I would think.
We did do an oath.
Uh-oh.
Janet froze.
Janet froze.
Hearing that we're doing. So we did kind of do what you're talking about. I'd freeze that probably. Anyone else want to jump in?
Janet, you froze up. Do you mind saying that again?
I just said we did do an oath at the last time we met for the office when we took office. So it was along the lines of what Dylan was describing. Anyone else?
I think it's with some of these boards that have pretty official duties, and the likelihood that there's going to be turnover amongst the board between meetings because of just kind of the general makeup. I do see value probably in having an oath being read or acknowledged at the beginning of hearings, and I do agree with you, Janet, that if we're going to make that commitment, that it should be represented in the procedure so that we're consistent about its verbiage and everything else. So I guess I would propose maybe asking somebody to prepare some language to be adopted in the procedures that we can vote on at our next convening. And then I guess the only other question there about kind of validity would be, would it be adequate for, something like that to be read and everybody to kind of in unison say aye? And, does that, is that sufficient to be valid?
The oath that we took as legislators, we all stood there and raised a right hand, but that was considered not valid. The oath that was valid was the one we signed. So
Hmm.
had to sign one. And so the with the hand up was ceremonial and it looked nice, except it turned out to be your left hand if you were on.
On Zoom. Well, you all sign or at least the justice of the peace all sign an oath.
We did.
When they are elected and the select board, like we all sign various oaths when we were elected that are not the same oath as we've been using for abatement hearings. The oath in question, by the way, is I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will well and truly hear and determine all matters at issue relating to the abatement of taxes and other levies submitted for my decision. So help me God, or under the pains and penalties of perjury.
So can we make in the procedure the requirement that I guess when we have a new member of the board, whatever is going to trigger that, they're going to sign that, and then maybe it's just a reading as like an acknowledgement at the beginning of a hearing, just as a reminder, everybody who's serving in this role has signed an oath that expresses as much. So then we have the signatures that are captured when a new member is installed, and then we have kind of more ceremonial acknowledgement at the beginning of the meeting.
I think that's a sort of a nice way to balance the various concerns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Tegan, this is Barbara. For the purpose of your minutes, John was sworn in,
Yes.
but that was not the oath that I found in the BOA handbook. So just so you know, that's not the oath that John took, but he did swear in this evening
As a witness.
Thank
as
you.
a
Sorry.
as a witness.
As a
Sorry,
witness.
I was delayed. There were no additional candidates who came forward, but I was delayed and I missed the beginning of the meeting. So what I'm hearing at this point, and we haven't made a motion, I don't need to know that we need to do that this time, but that you would like me to bring back the rules of procedure with an inclusion of reciting the hearing at the start of every hearing, reciting the oath at the start of every hearing, and then after we are all elected, the first meeting after we have all been reelected or elected, that we would all sign it at that particular meeting. Is that what people are thinking?
I thought what Jordan said was to state that we had all taken the oath, but not to take it at each meeting. But perhaps I misunderstood Jordan. It was more a statement than
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of semantics. What I had in mind was similar to what Tegan was saying, that we have an oath, that we all sign it when there's a point of installation, that that is then being kept on file, and then at the beginning of a hearing, the oath is read, and you just have a verbal reminder that everybody present has signed
was already done it. Yeah.
that.
Yeah, just read one time as a reminder, not read by everyone individually.
Yeah, that's what I understood. That makes sense. Yeah. I mean, the advantage of that is if for some reason somebody forgets to do it, it's not going to make a difference in terms of the validity of what we do. So sounds good. Are people in agreement that this is a good way to proceed? We don't need to vote on it because we'll vote when we see the language, but people good with this?
Agree.
Good discussion. Any other business that we need to deal with before some of us move off here?
I don't think so.
Okay. So I'm going to say that we are adjourned. So good to see everybody. Oh, wait a minute. Somebody needs to write up the decision. And I think Tegan and I have usually worked on that. We'll circulate it, but I don't think it'll be a complicated letter. So we'll do that. Okay, great. Thanks. Bye, everybody.
Thanks.
Hey. Are you there?